this time I'll call the Glencoe-Silver Lake School Board meeting to order for the November 24th, 2025 meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John, will you please take roll call?
I didn't get a packet.
Oh.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yep. Roll call.
Make sure I got it on my note. Make sure I get them in the right order. Jamie? Present. Randy?
Here.
Kayla?
Here.
Myself, John, here. Jason?
Here.
Alicia?
Here.
Thank you, John. This time I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Alicia, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. To approve the agenda. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. New business. Item A, facilities maintenance bond discussion only. Refunding the facilities maintenance bond resolution. Action item included number 1. Superintendent Sanjay recommends adopting a resolution of intent to issue refunding bonds, facilities maintenance bonds, for roof projects district-wide in the amount will need to be determined by the board tonight. So I believe at this time we're having a discussion.
Right, if you remember, we talked a little bit about this at our last board meeting. Jeff was here to kind of give a little bit of information on it. We then had our work session and we talked a little bit about this, and because of timelines, we're here tonight to hopefully come up with a dollar amount and be able to continue to move forward with this whole thing. So if you guys have questions or you want more discussions, you can let us know on that. It sounded like from when we talked at our board session, it was kind of that whole balancing act of what amount do you set it at versus not wanting to do this. I feel that that's somewhat of a safe assumption, but I shouldn't assume anything. But we do want to take advantage of this opportunity that the state is providing so that we could do a few more things on our roofs. And then when you partner that with the refinancing of the existing bond from the building project, it is an opportunity for us to kind of be able to say to our public, we're trying to take advantage of this, and depending on the amount, there could be that potential of trying to keep that at a status quo or a neutral cost, or an increase that is really, really reasonable, such as $1 or $2.
We all have the summary from Ehlers in front of us. They kind of broke some things down for us with the 1 million, what the tax impact would be at 1.3 or 1.5. Does anybody have any discussion on that? Any feelings one way or another? Our break-even point, I believe, is right around $1 million. Is there kind of a break-even?
No, I think what I got out of it, and we didn't get clarification today, but when Jeff presented Monday at the board meeting, it looked like a savings of $450,000 to $500,000 with the refinancing. So I would, if that is the case, then it would be, so for 1 million, if we would go for 1 million, I think it's going to cost a taxpayer $7.50 roughly about, because these are just the impacts of what the new facilities maintenance bond would be. This does not include any savings because we won't know that savings until January. So right now he's thinking $450,000 to $500,000. It could be less, it could be more. It's just going to be depends on when we resell the bonds.
And when you say that $700 or $7 or so, that's based off of the $275,000 home, which is the average number in our district, about that. Mainly in McLeod County, which makes up a big
Correct.
portion of
We
it.
only
So
have,
that's
I
where,
think, 2
where that
households
goes.
in Carver right, it's only land, it's not a house. And then the only other town in our district that's not McLeod County is Norwood, logistically.
And these are per year, right? These are the increases per year. So when you look at what that does from a monthly standpoint, that's where we get into looking at it from,
$1.
yeah, and having it be somewhat tax neutral when you kind of look at it. It's all kind of how you look at it, but you know, the tax impact is pretty minimal, and we get a chance to do some more projects. So I think it's a really good thing. I think we're still being very good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, and ultimately trying to find that balance of you know, getting some of the projects that we still think needs to get done, and then taking advantage of this opportunity. And then when you're taking advantage of the opportunity with the refinancing, it just seems really reasonable to move forward.
I mean, if we weren't having the savings, we wouldn't be even having this discussion, more than likely. Because then we'd be adding a whole nother total tax to
Right.
it. That's my opinion.
Sure.
The thing that I'm struggling with is where the million came from. I mean, we don't have any documentation. It was just a conversation that I believe Michelle had,
No,
correct?
it was John Templin and the guy from Tremco, that
Yeah,
when they,
roofing guys.
the roofing guys,
Brandon, right?
Yeah.
when they went to go look at Lakeside
Okay.
on HVAC stuff, it was kind of like what other things could be done. Some of the dollar amounts, I think, came from when the review and comment was written for the original roofing.
Because some of it was supposed to get done from the original part, but we didn't
No,
have enough.
not supposed to. They were, if there was money left over, then there was steps that you could, these were the next things that we're gonna have.
Okay.
Yeah, but not a part of the original, like, this is what's gonna happen.
Correct, they were just, you have
Hoping
to
that,
do options that if there was money left over, these were the things that it would go
Yeah.
towards. So I think that's where some of the amounts came from, because they might have figured
Right.
those out already from the review and comment.
Because as a taxpayer, all they're gonna hear is roofs again. Didn't we just, you know, vote on that?
So
So-
the bond that was voted on is roofs and HVAC. This new facilities maintenance bond that legislation changed can only be used for roofs. It cannot be used for HVAC. So that's why that's why this is coming into play, where we have the roofing project going. Now, let's take, we say 1 million, that will kind of go towards the roof, and then what we have left over from the roofing bond will go towards the HVAC.
So we're pretty much just diverting the money from one spot to the other.
Correct, because it can only be used for roofs. And so this way, our other list for the review and comment was the extras, if there was money, we can kind of take care of those now because of doing this.
But the 1 million doesn't cover the list that was provided to us, correct?
Only for the lakeside, we would not know with adding the silver gem and the stuff, we would not know.
And we're not guaranteed that the 1 million will cover Lakeside because we haven't hard bid it.
Correct.
right, haven't done that whole process because there's not enough time to do it.
Right.
And the timing of this whole thing is kind of part of the reason why we're here tonight.
Yeah.
And then there will be a little bit more interest coming, as we'll be signing tomorrow for the new CDs. So we'll have a little bit more interest than what we were expecting as well. I don't know, I don't want to put a dollar amount on it, but I would maybe less than 100,000 maybe total, so.
I think most people take this a little easier when you say you stick the money in the lakeside. I mean, it's one of the things where everything comes here, everything comes to Glencoe, everything comes to this school. And Lakeside's kind of like that back burner. I think that might be a little bit easier saying, hey, all this is gonna be going.
Well, the additional
That's
stuff.
all it's gonna be for.
But you gotta remember that the original roof bond, we had Lakeside as
Yeah.
part of it.
Yes.
But if you're gonna add this extra little bit, you say it's strictly for Lakeside, it's not going nowhere else, it's gonna be
Well,
dedicated right
that
there.
depends, if,
If there's
It's mostly gonna go towards Lakeside.
Yeah.
It's like
And
80% maybe, but not 100.
right, because we'll talk about the Silver Gym, we'll talk about that priority list once we have a dollar amount that we can go ahead and.
the majority of it will be going to Lakeside.
Correct.
That's why I just don't want to see us shortchange ourselves, where all of a sudden it's like, we're telling people we're doing Lakeside, but we didn't have enough money to get it done.
Well, we'll have a certain amount of money to get something done.
That is correct.
But then I think it goes to the discussion of priorities and what will be done and what has been done. And I guess one of the concerns that I have is we haven't addressed with the passage of the referendum any of the HVAC at Silver Lake, right? It's just the roof replacement at Silver Lake. So I guess one of my concerns that I have is that this list that we have of lakeside things for HVAC, the very first thing on our list, which is not prioritized, has been on our list of things to be addressed. And here, when we passed the referendum and we did things here at the Glencoe site, we did HVAC things, we added HVAC things without addressing what we already had up at Lakeside that needed replacement or that needed to be done. So one of the concerns, like I said, that I have is just the priority of things. So we go and ask for additional money, but once again, we don't have these hard bidded, so we don't know the exact amounts that it's gonna cost, and we don't even have them prioritized yet again. So, like I said, the things that we did here at the Glencoe site, it was replacement of some things. It was some things that were already up there that we converted so that it could be done. As far as cooling and stuff in the kitchen, cafeteria area, but then we added some additional things that were not existing. And so with those, we added some additional expense too, and now having those things and needing to maintain them and to operate them. So we're adding some operating expense with some of those expenditures that we've made. This will be another thing too, as we look at these, adding some additional operational expenses, something to think about.
So what you're thinking was, well, you don't want to do this at all? Is that
Well,
what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, these aren't hard bidded, so I
No,
don't know
I
how much they're
understand.
gonna
So
cost.
I'm just trying to
No,
summarize
yeah.
this in a nutshell.
Yep, so I'm trying to help you. So I don't know the expenditure of these. So to Kayla's point, how much do we ask for so that we can start chipping away at this is one concern. Another concern is, how will these be prioritized? Is it gonna be based upon when the money runs out that we now ask for next? Because if that's the case, then some of these might take priority over others because of having the money to complete them or not complete them. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The list was put together by our building engineer, John Templin, whatever his title is, along with Brandon, who worked with Tremco, who we hired to do our roof project. They're the ones that are experts in this. They're the ones we hired. Okay? They gave us a list. I don't care what number they're in. These are a list of things that need to be done. We've got an opportunity to get $1 million, $1.3 million, $1.5 million as a board to go out and get more dollars because we have savings to get more projects done. We know they're going to have to be done at some point. Do we say no to any of this? We do a refund of $7 a year, and in 5 years we're going back to the public for a bond of $5 million to get this work done. all I know about projects is they continue to go up. If we say no to this right now, and 3 years down the road, some of these projects need to be done, they're gonna be 30% more, 40% more. Anybody who does construction knows that. The cheapest time to do construction is right now. That's always the way it is. So if we let it sit, we can vote, and I'll take a $7 increase in my, or whatever where I fall into the residential homestead. And then I'll probably take a kick in the butt in a few years of a $20 or $30 or $40 increase because we didn't do this now. I think it's a great opportunity to do what we can to improve our facilities.
I don't disagree with you, Jason. I think we had this conversation earlier, and the $1 million I don't agree with because I feel like we're gonna shortchange ourselves. And exactly what you just said, construction gets more expensive. So if you're here, every time you remobilize and you get crews out here, guess what? They're charging them again.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that we're doing our due diligence, and if we're gonna approve this, we have enough money to get the projects done. Not just because $1 million sounds better and is equal. Let's make sure that we're actually being smart about it and not going back in 5 years and saying, shoot, we didn't ask for enough.
I agree with that, but I've been on the board a long time, and I worry about, we have the opportunity to be about a break even a little bit more.
But then you're talking out of both sides of your mouth because you're saying
I am and I
construction
am
only
not,
gets more
because,
expensive.
right, and we know that. I mean, so anybody can make a motion here, and we can have a second, and we can vote on it. And we may have to do a couple of them to get the number that we all agree on, or at least the majority agrees on. So, if the 1.5 is something you are passionate about, you can do 2 million. I feel, just my opinion, I feel break even or a close to, it's not gonna be a break even, and we know it's gonna be a little bit of an increase with them, even with 1 million. Without going to, it's only $6 more or so on the yellow line. But I feel personally, and everybody else can have their own opinion, I just feel personally I don't want to push it with our voters. So, if you guys want to go higher, talk me into it, or vote for it.
I do agree with Jason's stance there. I think we do see all the grumblings within the community about people's property taxes, and I understand we could be going back to them, in 5 years, so I get it. It's a balancing act. I just think, we need to be cautious and be conservative where we can about what we can get done, but also, I agree, taking the increase and doing what we can here, but also not just going for 3 million because we can. So.
And I echo the same with the sentiments as Jason.
I mean, it'd be nice if we could, we're getting the new servers to the top string. Kind of prioritize that stuff so we can get longevity. The silver gym, besides PAC and that stuff, how much does it get utilized during the day?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. And that's kind of the reason why that got on the list, was because of the fact that it's being used during the summer. And it's an opportunity to put some dehumidification in there and cool it down a little bit. And that's kind of why the priority of some of that HVAC work was always done here, was because this is the building that was used during the summer, and Lakeside is not. Like Alicia said, it's all about a balance.
I just agree that if we go back and, have to go back, voters are gonna see that everything's being spent in political. That's gonna be the hard part, is that we're gonna go back and get more money. Well, what have you done in Silver Lake?
What if the 1 million doesn't cover all of it, and so what are we gonna say?
I think we try to prioritize, our server rooms, and then whatever's left, then we can build off of that. We got this grant.
And our list of needs will never end. It's always going to be there, and you're always going to have to plan, and you're always going to have to prioritize and do the best you can. Like we said from the very start, this is an opportunity to try to get some things done and not necessarily have a burden on the taxpayers without having a vote. And everybody's points, I think, are spot on, but where do you find that balancing act? And hopefully the board will find some
Right, that's
place.
one thing you look at too, you look at property values and how they're just skyrocketing, everyone looks at property taxes. You know, when I bought my house, we're 200,000, just shy of it, now it's well over 350. I mean, all these numbers here, you know, 175, in 2 years, it could be 250, almost 300,000. So that's something to look at too, is what the future's gonna bring in the housing market. In Glencoe ain't growing, just the value of the houses keep going up.
I think that's the hard part is our enrollment's continuing going down, so we're not getting more revenue in the door either.
You know, but there's a lot to determine that one too, you know. The days of the family of having 3, 4, 5 kids are gone.
This year, I have lots of friends with 4, 5, 6 kids.
But it ain't like as common as it was back,
Sure,
you know. Most families had 5, 6 kids.
I think
How
part
many
of the,
families in the school have 1 child in the school?
I'm youngest to 9, come on.
But there's
I know
quite a
it's
few families that have
but,
one.
Yeah, it's not, you know. yeah.
It's not a common issue, and that's why enrollments went up. And there's a lot of parents homeschooling too.
Right, and we do, I mean, Tricia's been very well at doing comparisons of, you know, with our overall enrollment for our, even just in our area. What is our census? It's, the census of what we could be bringing into our district is not what it used to be. We know that. So while, yes, we are seeing our enrollment go down, it is because the census within our district for kids to come in is shrinking. It's not there. I mean, there's many factors, family sizes, people having kids later, you know, we're just so. Choices, right. I mean, yes, you
Homes
know.
availability, if there's no homes, why would families come here?
Right, we are a district spread out within many different communities. We realize that, yes, on our north side of Silver Lake, we have families that are going to DC because that's what makes sense for them. We have, you know, families that open enroll to GSL. We have families that may, you know, open enroll to other districts. I think that's just, at this point, outside of the community, what we need to communicate about tonight, I mean, yes and no, but, you know, there's a lot of different factors into what our enrollment is. And I don't think it's necessarily just because kids are choosing to go other places. A large factor of it is our census is just not what it used to be. I mean, it's not that we have 200 kids and we're bringing in under 100.
we did this year, we had 180 eligible. 90-something wrong.
I don't think it was 180.
Nope, it wasn't 180 eligible. I have the number from Kim, but
I was like, that's what I'm pretty sure they can, I can look it up too.
attendance.
Well, to circle back to the issue at hand, here, we're looking at a dollar amount, correct? Mr. Chairperson, we're looking at a dollar amount and what we feel comfortable as a board to pass here with a majority vote.
And just so you're aware, the motion will read, motion by, second by, to adopt the resolution of intent to issue refunding bonds and facilities maintenance bond. Tricia had updated that for me here, so that's, the motion would be of intent to issue refunding bonds and facilities maintenance bond. Just so you're aware
So
of
you
that.
have to,
So we're voting to refund first and
it's all one resolution.
It's one resolution.
If you decide not to, an attorney wrote it up, so it's all one resolution. If you would decide not to agree on what the facilities and maintenance bond, then you will just be doing the resolution for issue of refunding. And I have a separate resolution for that that does not include the facilities.
So if we wouldn't get a motion in a second on B, or if it would fail. then
If
we
you would fail, if the facilities maintenance bond, if it would fail, then we'll just do a vote to
Refinance.
yep, the refund
Refund.
of the bonds.
Refund.
Yep.
we got time, any more discussion, any more thoughts? This is all everyone's opinion and thoughts, and like I said, Chris said nothing right or wrong here. It's
As we talk about enrollment, declining, I think we need to keep an eye on that being revenue. So if revenue is going down, I think we need to then obviously keep an eye on expenditures. So as we keep an eye on expenditures, with some of the things that have been already added and perhaps will be added if we look at HVAC options and things as well, more additions means more operations. More operations is going to take money to do that. If enrollment's dropping, that's revenue. So all of a sudden your expenditures are going to be higher than your revenues. I think we need to be aware of that. I appreciate your comment, Jason, about the list being created of HVAC options by John Templin and Brandon. That's true that they had input into it and created the list for us. But with that being said, if it's a list of things that need to be done, and it's a list of things that are needing to be prioritized, I guess I asked the board why, in what we've accomplished so far with HVAC, did any of the HVAC items here at GSL at the Glencoe site, they were all a higher priority than any of these that are going to be done, perhaps, at Silver Lake? I mean, as a Silver Lake resident, I'd have a tough time with that. As a GSL resident, anywhere in the 6 communities, that's what we're kind of saying as a board. I don't think that that's true. I think there's some things on this list that needed to be accomplished at Silver Lake site before some of the things that were prioritized or done here at the Glencoe site with regard to HVAC. We can all agree on the roof at both sites, but the HVAC items, and this is something that is not me saying it for the first time tonight. I've mentioned these things before having a list of Silver Lake things, before we even talked about any of this, possible refinancing, saving of dollars, shifting of dollars. I brought this up at that point, not knowing some of these things that now we do know. And so it saddens me to see a Silver Lake thing, and to Randy's point, now we're kind of having an opportunity to go back and perhaps do some of these things with perhaps, depending upon the amount, close to a wash, maybe in taxes, but it goes back to how we're creating lists of priorities. And once again, we still don't even know the cost of these items on this list and how far any amount that we approve of tonight, how far it's going to get us on this. I don't know if we're going too fast, if we're not thinking it through and prioritizing. It just doesn't feel right that we're throwing a dart at a dartboard with an amount that we may or may not agree with or get a majority of or not, to chip away at a list that still isn't prioritized and that we don't have dollar amounts to. It just doesn't seem right. Something just isn't sitting right.
You've sat in volleyball games in the Purple Gym. I'm going to a band concert tonight. I've been in the auditorium many times, and I've been sweating bullets. This is the main use of this campus, or this is the main use of Glencoe-Silver Lake, is this building. What we did here was spot on, and we probably should have did more when it comes to that. We've got a early childhood is that it's expanding and exploding, and we probably got to add on for that. I don't know where we find money for that down the road. They need some of their own facilities because we need some of ours back. And those are good things because that's a feeder program to what I would call our Glencoe-Silver Lake. I think we should have did more here, but we didn't have the dollars, and we we wouldn't have got the dollars. I'm just happy what passed, so we could fix what we could, get more comfortable facilities here. Matt Munchell sat over there and talked about the purple gym and said, if you AC it, I'll fill it all summer long. We'll use it for our community. So I think what we did here was a really good thing.
And Jamie, I totally understand what you're saying. I grew up, I was a Silver Lake resident, you know, went to school there, so I am very passionate about seeing Lakeside, you know, kept up and improvements being done there, but I do have to agree, like, everything outside of the classroom and things like that, our main stuff is hosted here. So I understand why there were certain things that were prioritized here, because even our elementary kids or things like that, they are coming here on our Glencoe campus for community ed stuff, things like that. They're using our facilities here. Not to say that, you know, they're not still utilizing the gyms and things like that over at Lakeside, but a lot of our stuff is here, based in Glencoe. So there were certain things that, and reasons that were prioritized here. Like, you know, Jason pointed out the purple gym and things like that. And so I get why we made some of the decisions. I'm not saying that you're not correct, that maybe, yes, some of those things at Lakeside should have been or have been on that list longer. And in a way, looking at, yes, some Silver Lake residents are not saying what, you know, what you're saying, and Randy is pointing out now, why is everything being, you know, thrown into Glencoe, and is Lakeside being kind of an afterthought? I understand that, but I think, you know, that's where it comes into communicating our reasons and things like that for why we did what, you know, we prioritized what we did, and now we have this opportunity where we can do these extra things, and we can make sure that, you know, we are now looking at getting these things done at Lakeside, because it is still a campus that we do want to prioritize, and we do realize that there is work there to still be done with HVAC and things like that, and we're not throwing it to the wayside. That campus is just as important, but this is a campus that is utilized a lot more for other opportunities and extracurriculars and things like that, that Lakeside is just not utilized for.
We have spent money in that building.
Yes, oh yeah, I'm not saying we haven't,
We've
but
done
I'm just,
there's new classrooms in there, there's new roof, or ceilings, lights,
yep, we've
new
got
windows,
new bathrooms, and we've been
new
doing
bathrooms.
You know, there have been other things there that we have been
That is
doing
very important.
in the
and we take
recent
it
years.
a lot of pride.
But why maybe the certain HVAC things weren't on the initial list, or on the, if we can, we will do them if we have extra money.
But back to Jason's point, it costs more money, so let's not do half of it or 3/4. We don't really know, because we don't have an itemized list on what it's gonna cost. We don't even have a list at all. It's just conversation, and we didn't have enough the first time. So I really do think that's important, that I know $1 million sounds good, and it's the cheapest tax, and it might even be less than that. But I don't feel we should sell ourselves short, and we should do it right.
There's a middle number. I see your point, Kayla, I really do. And
I'm in construction, I'm just telling you, like, you can throw a number out and tomorrow it's higher.
just looking at the numbers, we did spend 1.6 million over at Lakeside with this roof project too. A good percentage, but it's a smaller roof line, obviously.
But it's all getting redone. It will all be redone.
But I think it's a look better to the taxpayer if we have to go back in 3-4 years and say, hey, we need to bump it up again. Well, we did prioritize Lakeside here. So if we can do that, I'm fine to find that middle road. But the thing I'm looking at is the money that's coming in for the servers, get that up and running, it's coming in from that grant, is kind of prioritize where they're gonna go for the expenses. And then kind of trickle on down from there.
little different spin on it, but is it safe to say some of these projects that are on this list, if they would happen, you know, let's say we would have to do an upgrade and we could allow to do this refunding opportunity, that would come from LTFM monies? We would
Yeah,
not,
we
we
can-
would not
can
be
use other
going.
things, like we said, their projects will be with us forever.
Right. And so if we have opportunities to knock some of these, and maybe not all of them, or maybe most of them, or all of them, it'd be that, less opportunity that we would have to take money from the kids, from the LTFM, and other projects that the LTFM goes to, correct, if facilities, I'm not in facilities, but. So, we have an opportunity, because we are refunding, we're not going back to the taxpayers for another, asking them for approve another bond. We're not doing that.
And remember, this is a new program.
Correct.
And the timing of all this kind
And
of.
this is all, the reason why we're having a discussion now is because of the time
And
and the refunding opportunities.
It's more or less not the refunding, it's because we have a roofing project going on.
Okay,
Because this facilities maintenance bond can only be used for roofs.
Right.
gross.
the
That is
refunding,
it. The refunding just comes,
I understand now.
As
because
a
we tried
way for
last
us
year
to-
with the refunding,
Yeah.
and then it didn't work, the
Yeah.
percentage wasn't there. They're saying this year the percentage is going to be there, should be there, better than it was going to be last year. So
Yeah.
that's why when you tie it all together as a taxpayer, looking at the taxpayers of, hey, they refunded to save money, but then they took out another 1.5 million for, say, so my taxes aren't really going up that much. You know, some people might see it, some people might not, depending on how much you really look at it. You know, everybody got their tax statements for this year, you know, I've heard some of them went up. I don't live in town, mine went down, you know, everybody's different. If you're, unless you take out last year's and really look dollar for dollar and compare, you know, you don't see it. So that's why kind of this has came up, just because of that fact.
And you have to do it bang, bang, meaning you.
So what we're looking, yeah, so what we're.
You can't do the refinancing and see what we land at, because right now we're not sure where we're gonna land with the refinancing, right?
Correct.
So is it possible to do that, see where we land, and then do a facilities maintenance bond?
You can, but I think what they're trying to do is tie it all as one bond. So we're not gonna go kind of for a new, so we have a 2015, which is,
so you're not paying those fees
Yeah.
twice.
All those fees,
Correct.
And then
refinance,
to
and
meet
all.
their-
and then whatever
timeline
percentage you
sale.
get with that new refinance, that's the percentage, you know, for the refinance that we're taking. So they're gonna tie it all as one. So that's why, I think, I should have brought the packet that he had presented the last time, but it starts, it only is for 13 years.
And then he's hoping, I think, what, if I remember correctly, too, just the timing of the sale of our new bond, like, it tends to be a higher, like,
You wanna do the timeline now.
Yeah.
because of the-
Yep.
we could push it off, but, yeah.
Correct, but tying this new bond in with the refinance. The refunding one, it only goes 13, so what do we have, until 40, 49, I think it was, of the building one, and this is only gonna take up 13 years of it. So the last 5 years of our building bond will not have this work with it. So it's not gonna be another bond, so 2015A, I think it is, yeah, 2015A is what we are refunding. That new LTFM bond for roofing projects will tie in with that bond, not creating a 2026A or 2027A like the roof one is, the 2025A. So it's just kind of combining the two bonds together without having to do another one.
Which financially helps not having to do this
Yeah, it
twice.
goes out to 2039.
Yep, and then,
5
yes,
more years after that, there won't be part of it.
correct, yep. Time them all together.
And the Silver Gym, we ultimately don't know a dollar amount for it either.
We just had kind of put that on, like, if we would need to add something else or, you know, we just put that on. And that's a list too. There's things on there at the lakeside that might not need it.
Well, the
They
one
might
thing that we
just-
talked about was life room and 10A and 10B, those may be able to be fixed, because they're only like 15 years old.
Right.
Yep.
And John didn't think so, but I think he needs to look a little bit further
Yes,
into
I
that.
think these were the higher priorities of just looking at things. You know, I think, what is it, the server room, the cafeteria, the gym, that type of stuff. I think they were just kind of looking at, you know, cafeteria, we got it here, let's get it there. The gyms, we have them here, let's get it there. Server room, obviously, yes, you know, we all know that that's a big one. And then I think everything else was just kind of like, what else could we do? That means it doesn't need to be done, you know, like those two rooms could just be it could just be a fix, and it doesn't need a whole new HVAC system. That one for sure, I know we need to look at more.
I mean, that's kind of, you know, once again, how this list sort of came about was,
I could be fine going middle of the road, but as long as we prioritize Lakeside first.
I think,
You know, I
Lakeside-
understand,
I
you
think,
know, I understand there'd be some nice things to do in the Silver Gym,
right,
but if we do some of this stuff in Lakeside, are they gonna utilize that gym space? You know, times are, you know, the gyms around here do fill up fast, you know, if we have a rain day or whatever for sports, could we utilize that gym up there?
We always can, it's just.
Right, and no one
just
wants
doesn't-
to because of, you know,
Well, it's
convenience
distance,
factor.
right.
Right, it is nice to come here, but you come in here and there's, you know, I've been here for baseball practice in elementary level, and you got 5, 6 grades trying to do practice in the gym, it does not work. Well, if we do some of these upgrades, it might kind of coax some people up there to use that school a little more.
this one is, I think, I mean.
But that's what I like to see, you know, it's our taxpayers do that.
Well, that's what this list is, it's
Yep.
for Lakeside,
Right.
so.
and the
But I
reason
think
why.
you're right,
Prioritizing
so, yeah, I
things.
understand that it does get used through summer months, but
The reason why the list prioritized Lakeside, because this cannot be used till FY '27. And so that's when Lakeside roof is going to be done. So that's why this list kind of came upon. Is that whole list on the review and comment? I don't know, I can't get it pulled up right now. On the review and comment, there was no HVAC going on the original. It was just, you always have to put things, if you have the extra money, what it is. I
There was
think,
no HVAC for Lakeside going,
nope.
but there was HVAC for here going, right?
Yes.
As a part of the original.
Or part of the original bond when it was approved by the board, yes. And I think that came with the dollar amount that was approved.
So, you know, I guess, you know, I hear purple gym here, I hear silver gym here. I hear gym space as being something utilized often. I hear gyms being utilized as far as for summertime. All of that's true. Classrooms too. You know, as far as academics and summer school and programming. We're not HVACing classrooms per se. We're not prioritizing, you know, specific classrooms or wings of classrooms for summer school.
But we do, so when during summer school, so on the new side of the first and second floor of Lincoln, those new 4 classes all have air conditioning. So we mostly utilize those.
And in the junior high.
And in the junior
So our
high,
summer school programs do all have air conditioning.
yeah, because then the high school is in the STEM room, and that's air conditioning as
STEM
well.
room and then the junior high.
Yep,
So we do all the summer school programs that are in classrooms all are air conditioned.
Are placed in rooms that are.
yes,
Yep.
100%.
We use the rooms that are.
Yep.
I don't, but, you know, in creating those rooms that we air conditioned, it wasn't necessarily with the thought of for summer school. I mean,
Well, I mean,
we're
when
doing
you're
that.
putting in a new building project,
We're-
you put in air conditioning, which is what we did when we built the buildings.
Right, and so
So that's why you did it. If we were building a brand new school, we would have air conditioning as a part of the whole project. And that's what we did with the whole addition. You know, we talked a little bit about, would it be great to have, you know, dehumidification throughout the whole entire building, but now your $24.9 million bond was gonna be a lot more, and try to find a balancing act of addressing needs and then also making sure that the vote passed.
That was the second time we ran it, right, or did we have to run it through? Third. If we had passed it the first time, we'd have had more.
With less.
With less money, yeah.
Yeah. So again, we were trying to balance all that, and I think we did a really good job of that. And that's the same thing that we're trying to do here, is to balance all this stuff, and I think it's a good thing that we're trying to do that as well.
And that's why the kitchen was done this year, because that got cut at the building.
because we were $1 million over
Right.
after passing it, trying 3 times.
And that was 2015, that wasn't the roof project.
No,
That was the building.
Yeah, it's a building project.
So, I guess, I mean, I can ask for a motion with a dollar figure. If somebody is so inclined, or we can have more discussion, or we can have a dollar figure, and then we can have more discussion about that dollar figure. We might get a motion, we may not get a second, so then we'll go on to a new, and if anybody wants to make one, we can start with that.
I'm just gonna verify, make sure I heard this correctly. The Lakeside will be the priority because that's where in 2027, the roofing's all gonna be done there. So we have to use that,
We don't have to use it there, no.
no, but,
But that's what we're
That's what's on that
prioritizing.
list.
yep.
It's all Lakeside.
I don't think we can say that it's gonna be that place. I mean, that's the priority, these are the list of things we wanna do.
If I would have to say 75-25, because you
Because
just don't know. There might be something that goes, yep. In that list too, you might find something else at Lakeside, you know, I'm not sure what else, you know, if you start putting 2 rooms in air conditioning, everybody's gonna want room air conditioning. But also here, I'm not sure what other HVAC here needs to be done.
But we can't use this money for that.
Yes, you can.
HVAC?
Yeah.
That was only roofs.
So there's, so
You're shuffling.
you're shuffling.
Oh,
You shuffle it this way,
Okay,
you don't cover the roof,
Because
you need the roof money.
St. Peter, yep, I
And I
got it.
think that's what needs to be clear to the voters, is this is really for HVAC because we're reshuffling money.
Correct,
So,
yes. So if the board decides to do 1 million, 1.3, or 1.5 of this new facilities bond for roofing, the money that money will be taken out of the other roofing kind of set aside to help pay for, to help do the HVAC.
I'm still not sure that we know what HVAC projects we need to accomplish.
Right now, those need to be accomplished at Lakeside.
And some of these on this list, I heard you say maybe are coming off of the list perhaps, or I heard Jason say that.
The one is because after we were looking at it, I did not know that that had HVAC and when it was done, and then we found it out when it was done. So we just kept it on the list because we're not sure if it's fixable or not.
There's some things that could be possibly repaired.
So I think the decision before us tonight is really, are we going to choose to add an additional amount? What amount is that? Or are we just going to choose to issue the refunding of our bonds? We obviously don't have the time to go out and get all the bidding for the different projects and exactly lay out the projects that we want specifically done to utilize this money. And we're not going to have that time. So we can keep going round and round and round.
we would have that time if we wanted to pay 2 sets of fees.
Correct.
If
Right,
we
and
could just
extend the-
reissue
Right,
and then, and whenever,
yes, and extend the potential sale of the bonds, and they talked about the timing of the sale of our bonds and when to have that sale and the best timing for the best rates and things like that. We can choose to do that. Or we can choose to do it right now. So I think that's really what our decision is, and I think we can continue to go around and around and around about our list of projects. Our list of projects is always going to be there. It is ever evolving, but I don't think us continuing to discuss our list of projects is really going to get us anywhere about what we need to decide to do tonight.
I agree with you, but Kayla's correct. There is a way.
Yes.
With an expenditure.
Yes,
But-
yes,
So with
there
that
is,
being
yeah,
said, that's
and
why there's still the discussion happening.
yes,
With
I
that
guess
being
we
said,
can
I'm
decide,
done.
yes, we
Yep.
can decide to do that. So if we want an extra expenditure, we can certainly take that route. Or we can take the route that's been presented to us. So so we can choose, we have 2 choices tonight. We can issue the refunding of the bonds and wait on adding the extra amount and look down further, or we can choose to add the extra amount and get it done all in one.
All right, at this time, I'm going to make a motion to bond, so Superintendent Sonny recommends adopting a resolution with intent to issue refunding bonds and facilities maintenance bonds for work projects district-wide for the amount of $1.3 million. The amount will need to be determined, I don't have to say that, at $1.3 million. Do I have a motion on that?
You make
You're
the
gonna make a motion.
You're making that.
Oh, I'll make the motion for yes, I'm gonna make the motion for $1.3 million. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
The way that will read then is to adopt the resolution of intent to issue refunding bonds and facilities maintenance bonds. Any more discussion? Hearing none, John, will you please take a roll call vote?
Yes, please signify for or against, please, as I call your name. Jason?
For.
Jamie?
Against?
Kayla?
against.
Randy?
For.
Alicia?
Or,
John? 4.
Motion carries 4-2. At this time, we'll move on to item C. Approve revised long-term facilities maintenance plan, action item closure number 2. A 10-year long-term facilities maintenance plan was approved July 14, 2025. With adoption of the resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds, a new revised 10-year long-term facilities maintenance plan needs to be adopted to reflect the changes that the resolution and the use of facilities maintenance bond. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by John. Do a second.
second.
Second by Alicia. Any comments or questions? So I have a motion by John, second by Alicia to adopt the resolution adopting the revised long-term facilities maintenance plan, 10-year plan. A roll call vote must be taken. John, will you please do that?
Please signify for or against as your name is called. John? 4. Alicia?
Or,
Jamie?
4.
Randy?
For.
Kayla? Jason?
4. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, John. Any miscellaneous at this time? Hearing none, I'll call for an adjournment. Do I have a motion?
motion.
Motion by Alicia, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. To adjourn this meeting at 6:55 p.m. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. You have a party until late?